You feel it before he says a word, before the text arrives, before the apology forms on his lips, before his energy even fully reaches your doorway. You feel it in your body first, a shift, a tremor. Something in the air changes and your chest tightens with recognition. He's coming back, not just physically, not just emotionally, but energetically. He's ready now. He's sorry now. And every part of you that's been waiting, healing, holding space, suddenly stands at attention. This is it. This is the moment you've been preparing for. But here's what most don't tell you. Here's the truth that will either make or break what happens next. The moment he's finally ready is not the moment you rush forward. It's the moment you pause. It's the moment you ask yourself one critical question. Am I responding from my healed self or from the part of me that's been starving for this? Because if you move too fast now, if you open before you're truly ready, you will repeat the cycle you just spent months, maybe years, breaking free from. You know this, don't you? Deep in your soul, you already know. If you felt this exact moment approaching, if his energy has been knocking at your door and you're not sure whether to open it or hold your ground, I need you to drop a comment below and simply type, "I choose me first." Claim that energy right now. And if these transmissions speak to the truth your soul already knows, subscribe so you never miss the guidance that's meant to find you exactly when you need it most. Let's talk about what's really happening right now. Because this isn't just about him coming back. This isn't just about an apology or a confession or even a promise to change. This is about a threshold, a sacred turning point, and you're standing right in the center of it. He's sorry, he's ready. He feels the weight of what he lost. He sees you now in a way he couldn't before. He's done the work, or at least he believes he has. He's faced his demons, his fears, his patterns. And now he's reaching for you, not with the same energy he had before, not with the same half-hearted attempts or the same confusion. This time it feels different. This time it feels real. And that's exactly why you need to be more careful than ever. Because the universe isn't testing him right now. It's testing you. For so long, you've been the one holding the vision. You've been the one doing the inner work, the healing, the shadow integration. You've been the one who saw the connection for what it truly was while he ran from it. You've been the one who held space, who believed, who anchored the frequency even when he couldn't feel it himself. And now that he's finally stepping into that awareness, now that he's finally feeling the remorse, the longing, the readiness, there's a part of you that wants to celebrate. A part of you that wants to say, finally, he sees it. Finally, he's ready. Finally, we can move forward. But beloved, this is where the feminine often loses herself again. Right here, in this exact moment. Because the part of you that's been waiting for him to be ready is not the same part of you that's truly healed. The part of you that feels relief when he says he's sorry is not the same part of you that knows your worth. And the part of you that wants to rush forward and meet him halfway is not the same part of you that understands sacred timing. Have you noticed how his readiness feels different from your readiness? How his apology, as sincere as it might be, still carries an energy of expectation. He's sorry, yes. He's ready, yes. But is he ready for you as you are now, or is he ready for the version of you he remembers? The one who would drop everything the moment he returned. The one who would forgive without question. the one who would open her heart, her body, her life without requiring him to prove that this time is truly different. Because here's the truth. His readiness is not your cue to move. His apology is not your invitation to return. His willingness to finally do the work is not your responsibility to manage, validate, or reward. Your only responsibility right now is to yourself, to the woman you've become in his absence, to the sovereignty you've reclaimed, to the frequency you've anchored, to the truth you've finally embodied. And that truth is this: you are not the woman who waits anymore. You are the woman who chooses. Something shifts in the field when the masculine finally wakes up, when he stops running and starts feeling, when the walls come down and the truth floods in. For so long, he's been operating from fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of being consumed, fear of losing himself in the intensity of what you reflect back to him. And so he ran, he sabotaged, he created distance. He convinced himself that he needed space, freedom, time to figure things out. But what he was really doing was avoiding the mirror, avoiding the parts of himself that your presence illuminated, the wounds, the shame, the unworthiness, the belief that he's not enough, that he'll never be enough. That love is something he has to earn rather than something he's worthy of simply by existing. And you, in your radiance, in your openness, in your capacity to love without walls, you triggered all of it, not because you did anything wrong, but because real love, divine love, twin flame love, it doesn't let you hide. It doesn't let you pretend. It forces you to face everything you've been avoiding, and he wasn't ready for that. Not then. But something has changed. You feel it, he feels it, the energy between you has shifted. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the way you stopped chasing, stopped reaching, stopped trying to convince him of what he couldn't yet see. Maybe it was the way you turned inward and started choosing yourself, started healing the parts of you that believed you needed his validation to be whole, started reclaiming the power you'd been giving away every time you waited for him to be ready. Or maybe it was simply divine timing, the universe saying now he's been humbled enough, now he's felt the consequences of his choices. Now he's ready to see what he couldn't see before. Whatever it was, he's awake now, and he's reaching for you. But here's what you need to understand. His awakening is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a new test. A test that will reveal whether you've truly healed or whether you've just been waiting for him to come back so you could finally feel whole again. Deep inside, he knows he hurt you. He knows he took your love for granted. He knows he ran when he should have stayed. He knows he chose fear over truth, comfort over growth, ego over soul. And now he's feeling the weight of that. The remorse is real. The regret is genuine. He sees what he lost. He sees who you are. He sees the light he walked away from. And it's breaking him open in ways he didn't expect. This is not the same man who left. This is not the same energy that pushed you away. Something in him has cracked. Something in him has softened. And now he wants to make it right. He wants to prove that he's changed. He wants to show you that this time will be different. And maybe it will be. Maybe he has done the work. Maybe he has faced his shadows. Maybe he's truly ready to meet you as an equal, as a partner, as a sovereign being rather than a savior or a mirror for his wounds. But you won't know that by listening to his words. You'll know it by feeling his energy, by watching his actions, by seeing whether he's willing to honor your pace, your boundaries, your truth, even when it's not convenient for him. Because here's the thing about the masculine when he finally wakes up. He often expects the feminine to be exactly where he left her. He expects her to be waiting. He expects her to be relieved. He expects her to open her arms and say, "I forgive you. I've been waiting for you. Let's try again." And when she doesn't, when she holds her ground, when she says, "I need to see more than words. I need to feel the truth of your transformation, not just hear about it," he gets confused, sometimes frustrated, sometimes even hurt, because in his mind, he's done the hard part. He's faced himself. He's admitted he was wrong. He's ready now. So why isn't she? Why is she still holding back? Why isn't she meeting him with the same openness she used to have? And this is where you have to be strong, beloved. This is where you have to remember that your healing is not about him. Your sovereignty is not about him. Your readiness is not determined by his readiness. You are not the same woman he left. You are not the woman who would abandon herself to make him comfortable. You are not the woman who would sacrifice her truth to avoid conflict. You have changed. And if he's truly ready, he'll honor that. He'll respect that. He'll be willing to earn your trust again, not through words, but through consistent, aligned action over time. Have you noticed how different you feel now compared to before? How the desperation is gone. How the need to know, to control, to fix has dissolved. How you can feel his energy reaching for you without immediately reaching back. That's growth. That's sovereignty. That's the frequency of a woman who knows her worth. And that frequency is what will either call him into true alignment or reveal that he's not actually ready for the version of you that exists now. Because union, real union, doesn't happen when he's ready. It happens when you're both ready, when you're both standing in your truth, when you're both willing to meet each other without masks, without games, without the need to control or manage or fix. And you can't know if he's truly there until you hold your ground and see how he responds. This is the part where most teachings get it wrong. They tell you that when he's ready, when he's sorry, when he comes back, that's your cue to open your heart and let him in. They tell you that forgiveness means immediate reconciliation. That love means giving him another chance without question. That the divine feminine is supposed to be soft, receptive, welcoming. And while there's truth in that, there's also a deeper truth that often gets missed. The divine feminine is not just soft. She's also discerning. She's not just receptive. She's also sovereign. She's not just welcoming. She's also protective of her own energy, her own space, her own sacred temple. And when the masculine returns, when he says he's sorry, when he says he's ready, the divine feminine doesn't just open the door. She pauses. She feels. She listens to her own inner knowing. And she asks, is this true readiness, or is this just another cycle? Is this genuine transformation, or is this just temporary discomfort? Is he ready for me as I am now, or is he still seeking the version of me that made him feel safe? Your body knows the answer before your mind does. You feel it in your gut, in your chest, in the subtle energy that moves through you when you think. About him, if there's tightness, contraction, a sense of bracing yourself, that's information. If there's openness, but also clarity, softness, but also strength, that's information too. You don't need to figure it all out right now. You don't need to make a decision immediately. You don't need to respond just because he's ready. What you need to do is honor yourself, honor your pace, honor the journey you've been on, honor the woman you've become, because she didn't go through all of that healing, all of that growth, all of that transformation just to abandon herself the moment he came back. She went through it so she could stand in her truth, so she could choose from alignment rather than from fear, so she could meet him if and when the time is right as a whole, sovereign being rather than a wounded half-seeking completion. And here's what happens when you hold that frequency, when you don't rush, when you don't collapse, when you stand in your truth and let him feel the weight of it. One of two things will happen. Either he will rise to meet you, he will honor your boundaries, he will prove through consistent action that he's truly changed. He will be willing to move at your pace, to earn your trust, to show up in the ways that matter. Or he will reveal that he's not actually ready. He'll get impatient. He'll push. He'll try to convince you that you're being too guarded, too cold, too unforgiving. He'll make it about him again, his discomfort, his needs, his timeline. And if that happens, you'll have your answer. Not because he's a bad person, not because he doesn't care, but because he's still operating from ego rather than soul. He's still prioritizing his comfort over your truth. He's still not able to hold space for the fullness of who you are. And that's okay. It's information. It's clarity. It's the universe showing you that this isn't the right timing yet, or maybe that this connection is meant to teach you about self-love rather than partnership. But if he rises, if he meets you with patience, with respect, with genuine humility, if he's willing to prove himself not through grand gestures, but through steady, consistent presence, if he honors your need for time, for space, for proof that this is real, then you'll feel it. You'll feel the shift. You'll feel the safety. You'll feel your own heart begin to soften, not because you're forcing it, but because it's natural. Because he's finally showing up in a way that matches your frequency. Because he's finally ready to meet you as you are, not as he wishes you would be. And when that happens, when you feel that resonance, that alignment, that genuine readiness in both of you, then you can begin to explore what's possible, not from a place of need, not from a place of fear, but from a place of wholeness, from a place of choice, from a place of two sovereign beings choosing to walk together rather than two wounded halves trying to complete each other. So what do you do right now in this moment when he's sorry and ready and reaching for you? You pause, you breathe. You place your hand on your heart and you ask yourself, what does my highest self want me to do right now? Not what does my wounded self want? Not what does my ego want? Not what does the part of me that's been waiting for this moment want? But what does the woman I've become, the woman who knows her worth, the woman who will not abandon herself for anyone, what does she want? And then you listen, you feel, you trust. Maybe the answer is not yet. Maybe the answer is I need to see more. Maybe the answer is I'm open, but I'm not rushing. Maybe the answer is I'm willing to explore this, but only if you're willing to honor my pace, my boundaries, my truth. Or maybe the answer is yes, I feel it too. I'm ready to take a step forward, but slowly, intentionally, with full awareness. Whatever the answer is, it has to come from you, from your truth, from your knowing, not from his readiness, not from his apology, not from his timeline, from yours. Because this moment, this threshold, it's not just about whether he's ready. It's about whether you're ready to stand in your power even when love is on the line. It's about whether you're willing to honor yourself even when it would be easier to just open the door and let him in. It's about whether you've truly integrated the lessons of this journey, or whether you're still operating from the old patterns, the old wounds, the old belief that love means sacrifice. And the universe is watching, not to judge you, not to test you in a cruel way, but to see if you've truly become the woman you've been claiming to be. The woman who chooses herself, the woman who knows her worth, the woman who will not settle for anything less than true, aligned, sacred partnership. Because that woman, she doesn't need him to be ready. She's already whole. She's already complete. She's already standing in her power. And if he's truly ready to meet her there, he'll prove it. Not with words, not with promises, but with action, with consistency, with respect, with patience, with the willingness to honor her truth even when it's uncomfortable for him. Let's go deeper into what this moment is really asking of you. Because on the surface, it looks simple. He's sorry, he's ready, you've been waiting for this. So why not just move forward? Why not just forgive and reconnect and see what happens? And the reason is this. The feminine's greatest power is not in her softness alone. It's in her discernment. It's in her ability to feel truth beneath words. It's in her capacity to hold space without losing herself. It's in her knowing that real love doesn't ask her to abandon her boundaries. Real love honors them. Real love rises to meet them. Real love doesn't say, "Trust me now because I'm ready." Real love says, "I understand I need to earn your trust, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, at whatever pace you need, to show you that I've truly changed." And if he's not saying that, if he's expecting you to just open up because he's decided he's ready, then he's still operating from entitlement. He's still operating from the belief that your love, your energy, your presence is something he has access to simply because he wants it. And that's not true partnership. That's not sacred union. That's the old paradigm. The one where the feminine gives and the masculine takes. The one where the feminine adjusts and the masculine stays comfortable. The one where the feminine sacrifices her truth to maintain the connection. But you're not that woman anymore. You've been through the fire. You've faced your shadows. You've healed the wounds that made you believe you had to earn love through self-abandonment. You've reclaimed your power. You've remembered your worth. And now you're being asked to embody it, not just in theory, not just when he's gone, but now when he's here. Now when he's reaching for you. Now when every part of you that used to collapse into relief is being activated. This is the real test. Can you stay sovereign even when love is possible? Can you hold your boundaries even when your heart wants to soften? Can you honor your truth even when it would be easier to just let it go and see what happens? Because if you can stand in your power right now, in this exact moment, everything changes. Not just for you, for him too. For the entire dynamic, for the possibility of what you can create together. When the feminine holds her ground, when she doesn't collapse, when she doesn't rush, something shifts in the masculine. He feels it, he respects it, he rises to meet it. Because deep down, what the masculine truly wants is not a woman who will abandon herself for him. What he truly wants is a woman who knows her worth so deeply that he has no choice but to honor it. A woman who will not settle. A woman who will not compromise her truth. A woman who will not open her temple to anyone who hasn't proven they're worthy of entering it. And when he encounters that, when he feels that frequency, it activates something in him. It calls him higher. It demands that he step into his own integrity. It shows him what real partnership looks like. Not two halves completing each other, but two whole beings choosing each other from a place of alignment rather than need. And that's what you're creating right now, not by being cold, not by punishing him, not by playing games, but by honoring yourself so deeply that he has no choice but to honor you too, or reveal that he's not ready. Either way, you win, because you didn't abandon yourself. You didn't sacrifice your truth. You didn't collapse into the old pattern. You stood firm. And that, beloved, that is the frequency of the divine feminine in her power. So let's talk about what you actually do. What does it look like to honor yourself in this moment without closing your heart completely? What does it look like to be open but boundaried, soft but sovereign, receptive but discerning? First, you give yourself permission to feel everything. The relief, the hope, the fear, the doubt, the longing, the resistance, all of it. You don't push any of it away. You don't judge yourself for feeling it. You let it move through you. Because your feelings are not the problem. Acting from unhealed feelings is the problem. So you feel, you sit with it. You let your body process what it needs to process. You cry if you need to cry. You journal if you need to write. You talk to a trusted friend if you need to be witnessed. But you don't act yet. You don't respond yet. You give yourself space to feel without immediately reacting. Because reaction comes from wound. Response comes from wisdom. And right now, you need wisdom. Second, you get clear on what you actually need, not what you think you should need, not what would make him comfortable, not what would make this easier, but what you truly need to feel safe, to feel respected, to feel honored in this connection. Maybe you need time. Maybe you need space. Maybe you need to see consistent action over weeks or months before you're willing to fully open again. Maybe you need specific conversations. Maybe you need him to understand the impact of his choices. Maybe you need to feel into whether this is true readiness or just temporary discomfort. Whatever it is, you get clear. You write it down. You speak it out loud. You anchor it in your body. Because if you're not clear on what you need, you'll end up accepting whatever he offers. And that's not alignment. That's accommodation. And accommodation is what got you hurt in the first place. Third, you communicate your truth. And this is perhaps the most crucial step of all, not from anger, not from resentment, not from that wounded place that wants to lash out or make him hurt the way you've hurt, not from the need to punish or prove a point, not from the ego that wants to show him how much he lost or how strong you've become without him, but from clarity, from groundedness, from the centered, sovereign woman who knows her worth down to her bones, from the woman who has walked through the fire and emerged transformed. You tell him calmly and clearly, I hear that you're sorry. I acknowledge the words you're speaking. I feel that something has shifted in you. I can sense that you've done some work, that you've had your own journey, your own awakening, and I'm open to exploring what's possible between us. I'm not closing the door completely. I'm not saying no from a place of protection or fear, but I need you to understand something fundamental. I need you to really hear this. I'm not the same woman you left. I'm not the woman who would have accepted breadcrumbs. I'm not the woman who would have tolerated inconsistency or half-hearted effort. I've grown in ways I never imagined possible. I've healed wounds I didn't even know I was carrying. I've changed at the cellular level. I've transformed my entire understanding of love, of worth, of what I deserve. And I'm not willing to go back to the way things were. I can't go back, even if I wanted to. That version of our connection, that dynamic we had before, it's no longer available. It's no longer an option because I'm no longer that version of myself. I need to see that you've truly changed, not just that you feel bad about what happened. I need to witness transformation, not just remorse. I need evidence of deep inner work, not just apologies. Because feeling sorry is one thing. Actually doing the work to become a different person is something else entirely. I need consistency. I need to see that your actions align with your words day after day, week after week, month after month. Not just in the beginning when you're motivated to win me back, but consistently when things get difficult, when the newness wears off, when real-life challenges arise. I need respect for my pace. I need you to understand that I will not be rushed. I will not be pressured. I will not be made to feel guilty for taking the time I need to trust again. My timeline is my own, and it's not negotiable. I need you to honor my boundaries, even when they're uncomfortable for you. Even when they trigger your own wounds. Even when they bring up your abandonment issues or your fear of rejection. Even when my need for space makes you anxious. Even when my caution feels like punishment to you. I need you to be able to hold your own discomfort without making it my responsibility to fix or manage. And I need time. Time to feel into whether this is real or whether it's just another cycle of the same pattern. Time to see if your actions match your words, because I've learned that words are easy and actions tell the truth. Time to trust again, because trust that's been broken doesn't heal overnight, and I won't pretend it does just to make this easier for you. Time to observe how you handle challenges, how you respond when I'm not being easy or accommodating, how you show up when things aren't going the way you want them to. And if you're truly ready, if you're truly committed to doing this differently, if you've genuinely transformed and not just temporarily changed because you miss what we had, then you'll understand that. You'll understand why I need these things. You'll see that these aren't walls I'm putting up to keep you out, but rather standards I'm setting because I value myself. You'll honor that. You'll honor my process, my pace, my needs, even when they're different from yours. You'll be patient with that. You'll be willing to move slowly, to rebuild brick by brick, to earn back trust rather than expecting it to be freely given just because you've decided you're ready now. And if you're not, if this feels like too much, if you need me to just open up immediately because you've decided you're ready, if you expect me to meet your timeline rather than honoring my own, if you think that your apology should be enough to erase everything that happened, then we're not aligned. Then you're still operating from the same consciousness that created the separation in the first place. And that's okay. I'm not judging you for it. I'm not making you wrong. But I'm also not compromising my truth anymore. Not bending myself to fit someone else's comfort. Not abandoning my needs to make someone else feel better. Not for anyone, not even for you, not even for what we call twin flames, not even for the connection I thought I couldn't live without. Because I've learned that the only connection I truly can't live without is the one I have with myself. And then you watch, you feel, you observe, not from suspicion, not from distrust, not from that hypervigilant place that's waiting for him to mess up so you can say, I knew it. Not from fear or from the expectation that he'll disappoint you, but from discernment, from that clear, centered place of wisdom, from the part of you that knows how to read energy, that knows how to see truth, that knows the difference between genuine transformation and temporary behavior change. You watch how he responds to your boundaries. Does he honor them with grace, or does he push against them? Does he respect your needs even when they're inconvenient for him, or does he try to negotiate them down to something more comfortable? Does he give you the space you need, or does he make it about his discomfort? Does he center his own anxiety and need for reassurance, or can he hold space for your process? Does he prove his readiness through action, or does he just keep talking about it? Does he show up consistently or only when it's easy? Does he demonstrate change in the small, everyday moments or only in the big, visible gestures? You watch and you trust what you see. You trust your body's response. You trust your intuition. You trust the clarity that comes from being grounded in yourself. Because people show you who they are, not through what they say, not through their promises or their explanations or their justifications, through what they do, through how they show up day after day, through how they respond when things aren't easy, through whether they're willing to honor your truth even when it's not convenient for them, through how they handle your boundaries when those boundaries trigger their wounds, through whether they can be patient when patience is hard, through whether they can be humble when their ego wants to defend. And if he rises, if he meets you with patience and respect and genuine humility, if he demonstrates through consistent action that he's done the work, that he's truly transformed, that he's ready to meet you as an equal in consciousness, you'll feel it. Your nervous system will tell you. Your body will relax. The tension you've been holding will begin to release. Your heart will begin to open naturally, not because you're forcing it, not because you've decided to give him another chance, not because you're trying to make it work, but because it's safe too. Because he's showing you through his actions, through his energy, through his consistency, that he's truly changed, that he's truly ready, that he's willing to meet you where you are rather than expecting you to meet him where he is, that he's willing to honor your pace, your process, your truth, even when it's uncomfortable for him. But if he doesn't, if he gets frustrated with your boundaries, if he tries to convince you that you're being too guarded or too cautious or too protective, if he makes it about him again, if he centers his discomfort rather than honoring your needs, if he tries to rush you or pressure you or make you feel guilty for not being ready on his timeline, if he shows impatience or entitlement or expectation, then you have your answer. Then you know that the readiness he claimed was surface level, not soul deep. Then you see that he hasn't actually done the work. He's just missing what you provided for him. And you let him go, not with bitterness, not with anger, not with resentment or the need to make him understand what he's losing, but with clarity, with the knowing that this wasn't the right alignment, with the understanding that his readiness was not the same as true transformation. That saying he's changed and actually being different are two entirely different things. That you deserve someone who will honor your truth without you having to fight for it. Someone who will respect your boundaries without you having to defend them. Someone who will meet you with the same level of consciousness and commitment that you're bringing. And you return to yourself, to your sovereignty, to your center, to your peace, to the life you've built, the healing you've done, the woman you've become, knowing that you didn't abandon yourself, knowing that you didn't betray your own truth for the comfort of connection, knowing that you honored your truth, knowing that you stayed true to your standards, your values, your non-negotiables, knowing that you chose you, that when it came down to it, you chose your own well-being over the fantasy of reunion, that you chose your peace over the possibility of partnership. And that, beloved, is the greatest love of all. That is the love that changes everything. That is the love that heals generations. That is the love that transforms your entire reality. Because here's what most don't understand about twin flame union. Here's what gets lost in all the content about signs and synchronicities and stages. It's not about getting him back. It's not about finally being chosen by the person who rejected you. It's not about winning or proving your worth or showing him what he lost. It's not about the happy ending you've been envisioning, the one where he comes back and everything falls into place, and you finally get the relationship you've been dreaming of. It's about becoming so whole, so sovereign, so aligned with your own truth that union becomes a choice rather than a need. It's about reaching a place where you're so complete within yourself that partnership is something you desire, but don't require, something you want, but don't need to feel whole. It's about embodying the frequency of love so fully, so completely, so unconditionally, that whether he's ready or not becomes irrelevant to your wholeness. It's about your own completeness being so real, so solid, so unshakable that another person's presence or absence doesn't determine your state of being. And when you reach that place, when you truly embody that frequency, when you've done the deep work of coming home to yourself, one of two things happens. Either he rises to meet you there, and you create something beautiful together, something that honors both of you, something that doesn't require either of you to abandon yourselves, something that's built on mutual respect and genuine readiness and aligned consciousness, something that serves both of your highest goods, something that's truly sacred partnership rather than trauma bonding or codependency disguised as divine connection. Or he doesn't, and you realize that the journey was never about him. It was always about you, about your healing, about your growth, about your evolution, about your remembrance of who you truly are beneath all the conditioning and wounding and false beliefs, about your capacity to love yourself so deeply, so completely, so unconditionally that you would never again settle for anything less than true, aligned, sacred partnership, about becoming the person who knows her worth so deeply that she would rather be alone than be in a connection that requires her to diminish herself. And either way, you win. Either way, you found yourself. And that, beloved, is what this journey was always about. And both outcomes are perfect. Both outcomes are divine. Both outcomes serve your highest evolution, because the goal was never to get him to choose you. The goal was always for you to choose yourself so fully that nothing and no one could ever make you abandon that choice again. So here you are, beloved, standing at the threshold. He's sorry, he's ready, he's reaching for you, and you get to decide what happens next. Not from fear, not from need, not from the old patterns, but from power, from sovereignty. From the deep knowing that you are whole, you are worthy, you are enough exactly as you are. And whatever you choose, as long as it honors your truth, it will be the right choice. Because you're not choosing from wound anymore, you're choosing from wisdom, and that changes everything. So take a breath, place your hand on your heart, feel the truth that lives there, and ask yourself one final time, what does the highest version of me want to experience right now? What choice would make me proud of myself 6 months from now? What response honors the woman I've become, not the woman I used to be? And then trust that. Trust yourself. Trust your knowing. Trust that the universe has brought you to this exact moment not to test you, but to show you how far you've come. To show you that you're not the woman who waits anymore. You're the woman who chooses. And that beautiful soul is the frequency that creates miracles, not by chasing them, but by becoming them. So tell me in the comments, have you reached this moment where his readiness met your sovereignty? What did you choose? What did you learn? Your story might be exactly what another soul needs to hear today to remember her own power, her own worth, her own truth. Because you're not just healing for yourself. You're healing for the collective. And your courage to choose yourself, it ripples out further than you know.